G'day Sparrows, hope we're all doing really well and the AFL season is finally here. It's tangible now, we can smell it, we can taste it, we can even touch it. Thanks to Hurricane or Cyclone Alfred, whatever he wants to go by, we've had a reshuffle in the opening round. We won't see the Brisbane Lions, and as always, the AFL has just made a last-minute plan, so the Gold Coast game is also on ice. But that means that we've only got 2 games to worry about, and the game that we're really interested in is the Sydney Swans versus Hawthorn. The more than just a season opener, this game. This is 2 sides that I feel were probably 2 of the teams of 2024. They get to go head-to-head, opening round, new storylines for both sides, fresh tactical battles, and some big questions I think need to be asked. Sydney, can they bounce back from the grand final disappointment? New coach, Dean Cox, how will that look? What kind of ball will they play? Is Cox ball going to take off? I hope it does, because the child in me finds it funny. And then we've got Hawthorn, that rapid rise. We talked about it last year that we thought they would do. Now, can they cope with the expectation and also the pressures that come without that surprise? This one is set to be a ripper, and we're going to break down the game, the key stats, what we're looking for, and of course, the 5 biggest storylines that we're looking at. So make sure you smash that like button. Really does help support the channel. If you do want to become a member as well, the first giveaway will be this month, so make sure you do that. Let's run the intro and get straight into what should be a ripping tie. Every season opener is huge, and it doesn't matter if it's round 1, if it's round 0, or whatever this game will be called in the future. It could be round alpha beta in 10 years' time, and this one I feel has got some real nice spice about it. Sydney were the minor premiers last year, and that means quite a lot if you are a foreigner watching this game. In Australia, it means next to nothing. It just means that you have an easier draw into the finals, and they look the team to beat for really 75% of the year. They stumbled a little bit late, but then got blown off the park by Brisbane in the grand final. Now, history suggests when that happens to you, it's going to be bad the next year. However, they went a different way. Dean Cox took the reins. Some tactical tweaks we have seen in pre-season. The shackles seem to be going. And Sydney have really talked about how they're doing the unexpected in training. Multiple 2K runs, different training techniques. It seems that Dean Cox has seen that Sydney's probably difficulty last year was when the unexpected happened, they didn't adapt. And Horse was a very rigid type of coach. They had defined roles, and that's what we've seen with Sydney this year in the pre-season. A bit more freedom, a bit more creativity. We've gone from doing dot to dots to now we've just got a blank canvas, and it's like, have a way at it, lads. Hawthorn, on the other hand, shocked the footy world last year. Team that was in rebuild, team that was meant to finish mid-table, and they pushed deep into September, and expectations have only got higher. They went out and bought Tom Barras, Josh Battle, really stacking up the back line, and we know championships are won from the back. But can they handle being the hunted side instead of being the huntees? The hunters? We'll go with huntees. I think that sounds better, even though it's hunters. This game should set the tone very early for both sides to really answer some questions. Are Sydney still that powerhouse? They've got such a beautiful young list. And Hawthorn, can they back up last year and prove they're ready for this big stage? I think it's going to be a fiery one. Both clubs have gone under massive off-season changes, either through playing personnel or coaching. And I think we'll have a few surprises. Under Dean Cox, they have a very defensive look when you look at Sydney, but it's a real floating system. They really look to overpower opposition. You quite often see midfielders pop up at half forwards popping up the back line, where Hawthorn have really stuck to what they know, that possession game style, looking to run and stun and overloaded numbers. This is really a clash of philosophies, and I'm really looking forward to this. So let's see where the game win is won or lost. Now, numbers don't always tell the same story, but they paint a picture of what you may expect. And some of the stats here are really interesting. When we look at Sydney's strengths and weaknesses, scores off turnover has always been a big thing. 55.1 points last year, ranking number 1. They're lethal. They really force mistakes. They don't just generate turnovers, they force you to turn over as well. And that is a real big strength for them. They're dangerous without the ball. Now, their turnover differential, though, is 14th. If they aren't forcing the errors and the pressure's not quite there, this is where the game is lost. Now, if you watch Brisbane, they did that in brutal fashion in the grand final. If you can negate the pressure, hold the ball, go short, make them chase shadows, this has always been Sydney's bugbear. Pressure games are good to watch. Pressure games get a lot of hype, but in reality, they are quite easy to negate. The problem is having key basics and key executions of the basics, and that is something that we're going to be looking at. Their clearance game was 13th. The Swans aren't dominant around stoppages, and this could be an issue when you look at what Hawthorn have. Sydney, though, have won 6 of the last 10 versus Hawthorn, including the last 3. So they'll go into this quite positive. Hawthorn's strengths and weaknesses quite easy. Their turnover differential is the #1 in the competition. They are elite at winning the ball back. They do this in a manner of ways. High pressure, but also incredible structure. They also individually target players, and they also try and funnel the way the ball is moved. And this was really, really poignant last year that the defence starts from them at the full forward position. They look to funnel that and channel the ball where they want it to, which makes it easy to defend, particularly in the corridor, which is the shortest part of the ground. They're very good at doing that and pushing you out wide, which allows them time to reset. Uncontested possessions as well is a key. When they win the ball, they hit space and they hit it incredibly hard. And this is probably one of the things that people forget about. AFL is a contested sport and people herald the contested players. But in reality, their ability to suffocate opposition by getting loose all the time and having clean ball allows them to dictate the game. It's a lot easier to kick with no one in front of you than it is having 8 on you. So this is a really interesting one. And we talked about the clearance differential. They're one of the best stoppage teams in the comp, 6th place. That is a clear edge over what Sydney can build. They've got some big bulls there. They've got guys that win hard ball, but they've also got guys that incredibly spread. And that's where the happy marriage of contested ball and uncontested ball is. It's all good and well winning contested ball. If you can get it to uncontested positions, you win. And this is where Hawthorn are very clever. They can play in a congested type of game. And look at it. This is where you've got to stifle them, though. And that is where Sydney have got to look at. Can they stifle that ball extraction? The way you beat Hawthorn is flooding them areas. And we saw it with Port. They really targeted the outlet ball. They tried to get hands on it. They tried to not make it clean. And this is going to be a good indicator. So these numbers do suggest Hawthorn's ability to control possession and win the territory battle, but also control the ball movement is a big, big thing. But Sydney's Wanwood, that ability to determine their scoring ability with their pressure and high intensity is a key battleground for them. So this is going to be really interesting. Now let's go on to the 5 things we're looking for in this game. I think first off, we've seen the pre-season and the answer is a big fat yes, but can Sydney deliver under Dean Cox? It's the start of a new era. It's an exciting new era. He's been a long-time assistant of Horse and he finally gets the chance to carry the reins. How much will this coaching style actually differ in game? From the outside in, it looks quite different. They're a lot more energetic. They're playing a lot more unpredictably. And they are sticking to that high-pressure, heavy turnover type style. That has really defined the Bloods culture in the recent years. But it does feel like they've brought a bit of physicality in there as well. They do look like they're going to be a better stoppage and clearance side. So I'm really intrigued to see how that mirrors up against an incredible, well-versed and hard opposition. Can Hawthorn live up to the hype is the second thing. They were supposed to play finals last year and they pushed deep into September. But that element of surprise is gone. You know what to expect from Sam Mitchell's side. They have to prove last year wasn't a fluke. And I feel like everyone is saying they're a genuine top 4 threat. It's a harder fixture list and teams know what's going to happen. Can they adapt quick enough? Sam Mitchell has done incredibly well in his first couple of years at really ironing on a game plan. Now the hardest bit once you're in the 8 is defining that, redefining it and repackaging it to make it tough to beat and to make it unpredictable. They definitely have the cattle, but again, I always look at that forward line and it doesn't really scare me in the terms of the tall pillars. They have got that down the back. How long does Battle and Brass take to have that sixth sense and synergy? A lot of questions about the Hawthorn who have gone really hard at making themselves better in the off-season. How does the lack of Errol Gulden affect Sydney? He has been one of the most dynamic players and he's really like a playmaker that can pinch hit anywhere. Gus Sheldrick, James Jordan have looked really good in the stopgap. Rowbottom always wins the ball and has been sensational. And they do like to float players on them wide positions. Does this mean that Chad Warner gets more outside time? We know how damaging he is in space. Or is it someone like Nick Blakey? Do they play him higher up the ground and really look to exploit that? This is a real strong side from Sydney. They've got so much depth in these positions and so many options. And they're really one that I'm looking at. The battle of the small and half forwards is going to be an intriguing one at number 4. Neither team really has a dominant, deadly key forward. Joel Amartey's showing signs. McCartin is definitely going to be a stopgap. And then no Mitch Lewis, you've got Maribor Cho and players like that. They've got to have someone to step up. So this is where we're looking at your Papleys, your Bruce, your Heaney's, your Dylan Moores. They rely heavily on that chaos ball, that inside 50 deeper entry. And this is going to be a really exciting battle. Papley versus Moore, Heaney versus Bruce, them types are really exciting because all 4 of them players are very dynamic and are very big points of different players. I'm really excited to see how that looks because both sides book that trend that you need a dominant key forward. It's a very team-based forward structure and it's probably the 2 most exciting ones to watch when you add in Wizard and players like that who are floating in and around. And obviously, round 0, the intensity hits differently from a preseason game. This is a chance to strike your first blow. Both of these sides are top 4 calibre sides. I reckon this is going to be a frantic game, and it's also going to be really game-defining on who makes the least mistakes, who comes out the blocks early, who puts their name in lights early doors and sets the first round win. This is going to be a really entertaining fixture and one that I'm really looking out. This game's going to be an absolute cracker, and the best part of it, I will be live for this game. So make sure you turn the notification bell on, subscribe, and join us for all the action. We break it down live, and we're really excited about having you joining us for that. Drop your predictions in the comments. Who wins this? Who kicks the first goal? And which player do you think is going to get 3 Brownlow votes? Let me know, and let's get that footy chat rolling. I'll see you Friday night, and as always, Pom out.